What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne, and this is Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there, waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya. Complicate ya.
Hey, everybody. Today, I'm going to bring you another video in a series that I call Board Game Link Up, where I talk about 3 board games that share something in common with each other, whether it be designer, theme, could be a component or a mechanic. Now, the last time I did this, I pretty much told you what the link up was up front. Today, I want to kind of keep you in the dark and see if you can figure out what these 3 board games have in common. And if you can figure it out before I reveal it at the end of this video. So without wasting any time, let's get right to it. So the first game I'm going to talk about is this game that I just got off my shelf of shame. I've had this game for a few months now, but I haven't got a chance to play it, and I finally got it to the table today, actually. And that game is Spectacular. Now, in Spectacular, we are building up a park to preserve endangered animal species. And it's a tile placement game and a dice placement game, which are both mechanics that I do enjoy. And so, on a player's turn, they're going to draft a nature tile or a dice from their personal supply. But then there's a supply board, and they're going to draft a nature tile or a dice off that supply board. And then once you draft those two items, then you're going to place those items onto your nature part, And so you place your nature tile, and then each nature tile can hold a dice, and you have to make sure the dice matches the color of that tile. There's like the forest and mountain and desert and water. And then the last thing you're going to do that turn is you're going to take your supply board and you're going to pass it to the player to your left. And of course, you're going to receive a supply board from the player on your right. And then we're going to repeat that turn. And so at the end of the game, you're going to score points for the pip value of every dice that you have in a certain specific habitat. But then there are these breeding tiles. You want to make sure there's breeding tiles in those habitats, because you're gonna for every breeding tile that has a dice on it, you're gonna multiply your total pip value for that habitat with the number of dice that you have on those breeding tiles. You're also gonna score points for you're gonna be placing watchtowers into your park. And the watchtowers, you're gonna score points for. There are going to be 3 tiles surrounding the watchtower, and you're going to score the pip value of those dice. And you want to make sure that there's dice on all 3 of those tiles, because if one of those tiles don't have a dice, then you're going to score 0. And then you're also going to score points for the number of different animals you have in your park. And then if there's some objective, you're playing with objectives, you score those points. And then of course, at the end of the game, the player that has the most points wins. Now, like I said, I just got this to the table today. I played it once, and I really enjoyed this. My first impression. I really like games with nature themes, or you're building a zoo. So I think this fits both of that theme for me. And I'm anticipating introducing this to Alicia. I think she will enjoy it. And I want to introduce it to my Tuesday night group, as well as my Friday night group. And so that is Spectacular. The next game I'm going to talk about is a game that I'm finally getting more plays than teaching it, because a lot of times I ended up teaching the game. And that game is Fromage. Now, Fromage, we are making cheese, and the board is a big cheese wheel, and each player is going to have they're going to have 3 workers. You have the blue cheese worker, you have the yellow cheese worker, and you have the white cheese worker. And the cheese wheel is broken up into 4 sections. So on a player's turn, you're going to take your worker and place it into that section that's facing you. And depending on the orientation of that worker, once everybody has placed their worker, we're going to turn the wheel, and then every worker that's facing you, with the pointy end facing you, you're going to be able to retrieve that worker. But if the worker isn't facing you, that worker is going to stay on the board. So you really got to be efficient on how you place your workers. It's like, I think it's called, you're aging your cheese and everything. Now, you're going to place a worker into the section in front of you, but then there's also an area where you're going to place your worker in order to get resources. And the resources are like buildings that will, when you build a certain number of buildings on your player board, you get a special power. There are cows that if you place a number of cows out onto your player board, then you get to do a free cheese action. Because usually when you place a cheese out on that board, you need a worker to do it. Also, there's berries. So sometimes you got specialty cheese that require a berry flavor. And then there are special orders. So like whenever you fulfill, place a cheese out on the board, you might have fulfilled a special order. And then you will get points at the end of the game for how many orders you place. And you're also going to get points. So like there's one area of the board that deals with adjacency. The more adjacent cheese you have, you get the more points. There's an area that has area majority, and then there's an area that's kind of more like set collection. I think there's kind of more like two areas that fits that bill. And so Fromage is, like I said, this is growing on me. I'm starting to really, really enjoy it now that I'm getting more chances to play it, And of course, being someone who works in the culinary field, I like cheese. So that's Fromage. The third game I'm going to talk about is a game that I just played this past week. I mentioned it in the last video, and that game is called Moon Colony Bloodbath. So in Moon Colony Bloodbath, we are building up a city on the moon. And the thing is, there are events that will happen. We're trying to build up our population, but then there are events that will happen that will kill off our population. And one of the events is like we have built these robots, but these robots are going on the fritz. And so there's going to be a deck of cards, and in that deck of cards there's going to be a work action which will allow us to gain money or gain food or build buildings into our city. But then there are negative events, like we got to feed our people. We don't have enough food, we lose population. Or, like I said, robots goes on a fritz.
That's what the killer robots are for.
And we're going to continue doing that until the 13th event, that event deck runs out, or when a person has lost all their people in their city. And then whoever has the most people in their city will win. So Moon Colony Bloodbath, it's hilarious to me. Just the whole thing. And I like the fact that everything happens to everybody. You reveal a card, and that you, especially also when you get to work, you don't have to do the same job. Like one person can go farming, the other person can go gain some money, go mining or whatever. Another person can just build a building. But then when those negative events come up, if you don't have anything to save that negative event, you're going to lose some people. So Moon Colony Bloodbath, I'm looking forward to trying this again. This is funny. And I love the art. So what does a game about building a nature reserve, a game about making cheese, and a game about building a city on the moon have in common? Because as you can see, those aren't similar themes. But what these games have in common is they all have simultaneous play, or simultaneous action selection, whatever you want to call it. So in Spectacular, when you're drafting your tile and your dice and placing it on your board at the same time as the other players. In Fromage, you're placing your cheese workers out into your sector the same time as the other players. And in Moon Colony Bloodbath, the central card, whenever you reveal a card, like say you reveal a work card, everybody's going to do their work action. It might be different work actions, but they're doing it at the same time. Now, the cool thing about games with simultaneous play is, one, it shortens the length of the game. You know, it makes the game go quicker, you know, which is really cool, because sometimes you might want time to play another game or the same game again. You know, so I really enjoy some, you know, games with simultaneous play. Now, I'm going to briefly mention some other games that we play. Now, one, this is probably one of my favorite, is Planet Unknown, where you are building up your planet, your Mars, and you're grabbing tiles from this Lazy Susan. Thing is, the active player spins the Lazy Susan, and where it stops, he's going to grab his tile. Everybody's going to grab tiles from their section, and they're going to place it onto their planet board, and they're going to be moving up these different tracks, like Civolution track, Technology track, stuff like that. Another game is one of my favorite games from last year is Creature Caravan, where you are trying to move across this board to escape the Ember zombies. And you're building up a tableau of your characters. Now, where the simultaneous play comes in there is you're rolling dice, and then you're going to be placing those dice on the actions on your board, but everybody's doing that at the same time. And another game we talked about at length is Let's Go to Japan, where you are drafting cards and you're planning your itinerary. The thing is, when you draw a card, you're going to play a card, and then you're going to pass a card to the next player clockwise. And you're all doing this at the same time. So as you can see, simultaneous play is a thing, and I'm really enjoying it, you know. So I hope you figured out the connection before we got to this point. And if you did, leave it in the comments below. Let me know where you figured it out, or if you figured it out, how early did you figure it out? And I really hope you enjoyed this video of board game link-ups. If you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And also, if you have a game that promotes simultaneous play that you really enjoy, feel free to put it in the comments below. I will be anxious to see what game you select. I'm Dwayne. This has been Blackboard Gaming. We will see you next time.